Can everybody from EMS raise your hands, please, to know the names? Okay, I will ask you to introduce yourself later, but I'm going to give you a short bio of myself, experience of myself. So my name is Kazagi. I'm from Rwanda, which is a Central East African country. And I'm a former student of EMS. I graduated in 2011 here. And I'm with my former classmate, Huzaifa. Where's Huzaifa? Probably is not here. And also there is Stanar. She's also a former, she's an alumnus of EMS in Senegal. So we share the same experience of this school. And the first experience I want to tell you is, before coming to EMS, I never went to any country. I lived all my life in Rwanda. Like, that's a typical thing of Americans in America. They don't go outside the US. That's what me in Rwanda. So the first thing, well, that's not the general thing, but at least my friends in the US, when I talked to them, they said, we don't know anything outside the US. I didn't know anything outside Rwanda. EMS taught me many things, including interacting with other people from other countries. The first experience I had at EMS, in my country, I used to speak French, Kinyarwanda, and Swahili, not English. When I came here, one of the friends I had was from Sudan. He only spoke Arabic, not English. And we had to take some classes together and do homework together. And by doing homework together, we had to interact and talk to each other. He don't know English, he doesn't know French, I don't know Arabic. But we successfully worked together, and by the end of the program, everybody could speak English, and they could interact, and we actually wrote a thesis in English. So that's one of the first thing I learned at EMS. And I think most of French-speaking students who come at EMS, the first thing they learn is speaking fluently or without being shy English, without saying I'm making mistakes, because it doesn't matter if somebody understands what I'm saying.
You just speak mathematics.
Yes. And also they taught us many things, computational skills. We had also advanced physics classes and mathematical classes. And one of the best experiences that here at EMS, you study, but also you live with your professors. In most countries in Africa, professors are like gods, so you don't interact with them. You cannot challenge your professor because he's always right, you are almost wrong. Here at EMS, you have to interact with them. If they say something you don't understand, you can ask them during the lunch or during the night, because you live together, you do your homework together in the computational room. You have many tutors who are with you, you work together with them. So that's one of the best experiences. And that's why when I went to US, I could interact with my professors because I had an experience here. And I knew that in US the same thing. Also, EMS was like a transition. I think if I went to US from just Rwanda, the shock, the culture shock would be like this. But it was like this, because still Cape Town is a little bit like Europe. It's different from Rwanda. But because I lived there for more than at least 10 months, I had an experience of living in this kind of culture. And when I went to US, it was not a big deal, except the weather, because when I live in Syracuse, the weather is too bad. Sometimes in winter, the temperature can go up to minus 30 degrees Celsius. When I tell my friends that, they think I'm lying. So that's a little bit of my experience, and I will any student or anybody want ask me about anything, feel free. But as I said before, I want, in order to know the audience, especially the AIMS audience, I want to know you can say your name and your background. If you're doing physics or math or computer science, because this iCamp is almost for physicists, but you don't need to be physicists to attend this, to know about the opportunities to study abroad. So I'm going to start here.
My name is Jeffrey. I'm doing financial mathematics. I'm from Congo, Brazzaville.
Thank you.
My name is Valencia. I'm one of the structured master's students.
And you are from?
I'm from Gauteng, Norway.
Oh, yes, sir.
My name is Sophia. I'm from KwaZulu-Natal.
I'm Ishmael. Just graduated yesterday. My background is in business from Ghana.
My name is Mohamed Bayossal. I'm from Senegal. I'm doing research master in American analysis.
My name is Sibel Momo. I'm teacher here at Umass.
And you are from?
Congo.
Congo.
I'm from Limpopo province, South Africa, and doing master's research in biology.
My name is Maka. I'm from Nigeria. I'm a tutor.
My name is Takmon Ritik Roland. I'm an atmospheric physics, just graduated yesterday.
Congratulations. My name is William Manamela from Limpopo. I'm structured master's general OT.
My name is Emil. I'm from Cameroon. I have a master's in physics and another master's in mathematical science.
Okay.
My name is Nadia. I'm from Topology. I just graduated yesterday. I'm doing computer science.
My name is Doris. I'm from DRC. I'm doing my own
Adrian from South Africa, and I was tutoring.
My name is Krista, and I'm from MIT working at AIMSEC for 6 weeks.
Hey, I'm Michael. I'm a fifth year PhD student at MIT studying mathematics. I'm also doing the same as Krista. I'll be here for 6.5 weeks.
My name is Evans. I'm a tutor here.
And he's my classmate. Okay, so now you know your background. So now I'm going to invite some professors to come and tell us something about how you can have opportunities to go if you are doing masters. Maybe you need to do PhD in US. I don't know. First of all, I'm going to invite my supervisor, Christina Marchetti. We met here actually here when I was doing my postgraduate program here at AIMS. She was giving a lecture at Stellenbosch University. So that was my opportunity, and now she's here again. Who knows, maybe somebody else is going to go to Syracuse or something. So I'm going to give the floor to Christina, and afterwards I'm going to give the floor to Bowick, and then to Elena from Australia. Maybe there is something in Australia. And then to Greg, and then also to Christian. No?
I would say there have been people from AIMSEC. It's very interesting for everybody to hear about the AIMSEC program too.
So maybe I should give the floor to somebody after like those professors.
Maybe we should do that first.
And maybe, yeah, I'm gonna give the floor to you. Okay. So the floor is Christina. Yeah.
Alright, maybe we should do the...
Oh, do you wanna start with the?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
I think we have to determine the time because the AIMSEC is perhaps interesting.
Okay, let's give the floor to you.
I'll just give a short introduction and then hand over to the two students who just joined us from America Monday, the 23rd, just the other day. AIMSEC is the School Enrichment Center of AIMS, and we do teacher training for South African teachers. Most of them are still unqualified, and they get a teaching post, but they they're not qualified in mathematics, so we try and improve their standard of teaching. We have different courses, short courses and 2-year courses, and we're starting next Monday with a 2-week session, a residential session, and then we get all the teachers in Stellenbosch at our high school, and then they go home, they do assignments, we broadcast via TV, we call it telematic services, they hand in assignments weekly, and they come for residential courses. So for this coming one, we prepared a lot of material and to get overseas lecturers to come and help us on the same model as AIMS, and we get students like the 2 from MIT, we've had a few from Warwick University, coming for either 6 weeks or 8 weeks or a year. And the one guy's just left yesterday, Danny. He helped us for a year, and I think it was a great experience for him. So perhaps your impression so far?
All right, and similar to Michael, I'm also at MIT. I just graduated actually very recently. I did my undergrad there, so I haven't done a master's yet. I was in mechanical engineering with computer science, so a few questions about that stuff. And then I guess more about like the MISTI. So I think the main objective is to create collaborations and ties across the continents and through different countries so that we can all work together.
I just brought 3 brochures and a few business cards. If you want to get my email address, I could forward the actual electronic copy of our brochure, and then perhaps in future you might like to come to South Africa for either 6 weeks or a year of your life and see what we're doing in connection with teacher training. And we're also busy with a FastMed project, which is a European Commission funded research project on formative assessment in mathematics and low achievement in mathematics. So I can perhaps write down our website if you want to visit that, and then perhaps some of you might be interested in joining that.
How many teachers have gone through the AIMS program?
1,150 so far. We've been running it for 10 years now. The next one will be called MT22, which is the 22nd time that we've been doing it. So AIMS is now 11 years old. So we try to do 2 courses, one in January for about 2 weeks and one in July for 2 weeks. So it's roughly 2 a year, plus minus 50 teachers on each.
And
So
how do you choose the teachers?
it's,
Or how do they find you?
We advertise, we get bursaries so that they can attend, and then we approach the provincial education departments and they nominate, and now it spreads, the word spreads and everybody wants to come. So we've got a waiting list of about 300.
So after the program they attend, are there materials available?
Yes, we supply a flash drive with all the information on it, and offline version of software and things like that. The problem in South Africa is the internet is not freely available. You pay a lot of money to access the internet, and it's not everywhere, it's not available. Like in the rural areas, you can't really make contact. Any other questions? I'll put down a few business cards on the table, and I've got 3 brochures, and I'll write down our contact numbers for you. You can go on, sir.
So thank you. I think we have 5 minutes or less than that.
Half an hour.
Oh, we still have half an hour.
The bus leaves at 6.
So I'm going to give the floor to Christina.
Well, my name is Cristina Marchetti. I'm a professor in the physics department at Syracuse University, where Kazak is now doing his PhD, working with me. But first of all, I should say that I grew up in Italy, and I went to the US to go to graduate school a long time ago now. But so I myself went through the experience of going to graduate school far away from home. And when I went to graduate school, it was for me the first time I flew on an airplane. Although I had traveled through all of Europe, I had actually never done it by airplane. So I do have some idea of what it is like, and it was very hard. I spoke French very well at that time, not much English, I had to learn it. So it wasn't easy, but it was well worth it. It was a great experience. It was a very interesting experience. Now, having said that, I also should say that when I was an undergraduate student in Italy, at least back then, we really did not know very much about the system in the US. For instance, we did not actually know that you could apply to graduate school in something especially like in the science, like physics, and that if you got admitted, that generally was with a stipend, it was with support. And yes, you had to usually come up with money to travel, but actually you had a stipend, you had the tuition covered, and you had a stipend that maybe was not, very large, but certainly you could live very well on that stipend. And I'm not sure if now being at Ames, you probably are now aware of that, but I just wanted to say this because I know I wasn't. And the reason I ended up going to the US is because I had a Fulbright fellowship and I had a professor in Italy who pointed me to a particular university, but I certainly never applied everywhere in the US and tried to go to the best place I could. I sort of just did it through a personal contact, and that worked out very well for me in retrospect. So, if some of you are interested in doing something like that, in applying to graduate school to the US, you could certainly just send in an application. But on the other hand, I think the best way to do it is indeed through personal contact. And for instance, there might be some faculty visiting here, or sometimes you could even just find out that you're interested in some type of work, and you could try just contacting faculty members via email, although, of course, if you have met somebody personally, or if you can get some person who was here to give lectures, to give a course, to vouch for you, to recommend you to somebody directly, that might be the best way to get introduced. There are, I think, some difficulties for people coming from Africa in general. For instance, so I visited Ames for the first time in 2007, I think. And I met at that time the students, and I encouraged them to write to me if they were interested in coming to graduate school. And that year, we actually admitted 3 of them. And one of them graduated yesterday. A lady from Ethiopia graduated actually yesterday with her PhD, and now is moving on to a postdoctoral position. But it wasn't so easy to get them to come to the US because, for instance, most US universities require students to take the GRE, graduate record examination. And I was told by these students that it was very difficult for them. In addition to being expensive, it was very difficult for them to take it. And so, because I had met these students, we decided to admit them without a GRE. But that's a step that not every department maybe really need to make. We also help them with travel. And Ames helped them with travel in paying for them to go back to their home country to get a visa because it wasn't possible for them to get a visa to come to the US while being in South Africa if they were from another African country. So that's why I think personal contacts can be very important because they can pave the way, across many difficulties like that. So if you're interested, again, the best way is to contact people personally, especially if you have met them. I'm not sure what, maybe some of you have some questions, or maybe Kazaki can even tell you what are the best things I could, no matter how you do it, I'm sure the first impact is not easy. You're traveling far away from home to a different land, different country. Although I should say that there is one thing about the US that I found wonderful when I went there as a graduate student, which is that certainly science departments are very international. Among the faculty, the students, you find people from all over the world. So although it is possibly true that the average American may not have traveled abroad very much, if you actually go to a physics department, you will find that the atmosphere is really quite different and generally quite welcoming, I think, to people from other countries. So it's a big step, but there is nothing to be afraid about. And I think you'll find a lot of people willing to help you every step of the way. I don't know if anybody has some particular questions that I'd like to ask from the students here, or maybe.
Do you have any questions, please? Don't be shy. It's your material.
Did you specify what area of physics you are concerned with?
So I'm a theorist. I work in what we call soft condensed matter physics and biophysics. More on biophysics these days than other things. So I work on things like mechanical properties of cells, or pattern formation in material suspensions, and things of that sort. I started out actually working on superconductivity, and I spent many years working on that. But for the last maybe almost 10 years now, I kind of shifted more towards biophysics. You know, but there are all kinds of opportunities in many different places. So, and Kazaki will give a talk tomorrow on what he's doing, so you can come and listen to his talks. That's one of the things I'm working on.
I visited maybe his website. What's the website for physics? I think they changed it recently, something like
Yeah, they changed it, so I don't actually know it myself.
So if
it's can't read what they're writing.
no, if it's not right, just visit.
Just do it. Eliminate the second word.
If you Google
Google physics department from Syracuse University. You can find the requirements, and you can find her interest and other groups and different interests that you can talk to her. I'm gonna give the floor to Mark also, because he's from the same department.
Okay. Well, my name's Mark Bowen. I'm director of soft matter program at Syracuse University. I'm a New Zealander, so I also left New Zealand to go to graduate school in the US. I had an advantage. I spoke English, but I wasn't sure that the Americans that I met spoke English. I went to California actually, and I went to a party there just soon after arriving. And people asked me where I was from. I said New Zealand. They said, is that on the East Coast or the West Coast? So it is a big step, but one of the things that I want to sort of emphasize a little bit, we discussed it in a panel we had last week with the members of the ICAM school, but it's something to keep in mind as you're preparing for graduate school and beyond. And that is, of course, you're doing a lot of technical work, studying physics and mathematics, or whatever area that is. But as you go on, what you'll find more and more important, occupying more and more of your time, are things related to communication. Writing a thesis, writing papers, presenting your work, writing proposals as you go on, which Greg is shaking his head like this. Well, everyone, you will occupy an increasing fraction of your time, and it's something, this will come up also in communicating with teachers and all of your work. It's something that we haven't, I think, valued enough in the past, and admitting people to study in technical areas at all levels of education. So try to develop your communication skills. talking with people, giving very general introductions as to what you're working on that people can understand who are not technically involved in your field. Practicing your writing your own papers, writing up what you're doing in understandable forms and so on. So this is a skill that that you really need to develop. There was something else I was going to say, but I forgot. Any questions? Yes.
I have a question on behalf of this student. Do you still think that at Syracuse University, if one of them or few of them want to apply,
yes,
there is still possibility to waive those GRE or fees for applications?
Well, I think it's certainly possible, but the timing is very bad right now because our school year starts at the end of August, and we have a finite number of positions available with support for graduate students. And I know that right now, for this coming year, they're all filled. So one really needs, if one wants to apply right now, one can apply for the following year, or one needs even better to think about it a little ahead of time, a little before graduation. But I think, again, requirements, one good thing about the US is that requirements can be waived, but you have to kind of make personal comments.
Yeah, the timing is difficult with the AIMS diploma, but planning ahead is good. So if you can possibly take GRE somewhere, that is good. You'll probably be called to have your English tested in a telephone conversation, so you can prepare for that, all these kinds of things. Eventually reaching the US on time. Usually there's a 1 month of orientation programs. So you're going to be starting well before the beginning of the formal academic year, things like that. All need serious planning.
Yeah, what about students who have like the background in bioinformatics or just computer science? Do you think it's possible for them to apply for physics?
It's
Yes,
not
for
easy
PhD.
because they will have, they probably different universities are different, but most places typically students spend a year or so taking courses, and then there is some exam on the basic courses. That's under the assumption that they have a background in physics. If they don't, then it's necessary to go back and take some courses at what we consider undergraduate level. And although all these things are negotiable to some extent, but it's not necessarily so easy without, you have to convince that whoever makes the decisions about the admission that you're going to be able to do it essentially somehow. That's
Yes, Evans.
In a case where students have been studying in English since childhood, must he also, is it necessary for the students to, let's say, write an English proficiency test before he can be admitted to graduate school in the States?
Usually such a thing is requested, but the whole package is evaluated. I mean, if someone hasn't had any background in the language, that will be taken into account.
Many schools can take waiving if you have been studying for 2 years or you have a degree, which literally shows you have been studying in English. So they just waive it. And myself, I never passed an exam.
One thing to keep in mind is that students typically cannot be fully supported on research assistantships, particularly in their first year. So unless they get a fellowship, and there are not that many of them, they're going to be teaching to some extent.
Yeah.
And then it comes back to, you
Right.
cannot teach, it's going to be teaching in English.
Yeah, the vast majority of graduate students in the US start out for the first year or two working as teaching assistants, so they have to do some teaching. And Kazaki has been teaching, for instance, not full time, but he teaches half time and does research half time. And so that if you will want to see that you can actually teach in English.
Yeah, and
Because otherwise.
yeah, so it should not be also something that you'd be really afraid of, because some school, like my school, Case Western, it requires all the students before going through the teaching, task, they have to go through teaching and speaking, courses as a part of the degree. So it should not really, make you like a pushback. But you have to sort of have evidence, whether from a rector, dean, or someone really official from school, indicating for how long you have been studying in English, or just say your English is sufficient to continue your education.
Any other question? Okay, before going to Australia, let's stay in US and maybe call Greg.
Okay.
He's a professor at Massachusetts, University of Massachusetts.
So, yes, thanks. I'm going to say keep it very brief, and I definitely want to give you guys the opportunity to learn more about where I'm from, because it's different from most of the other faculty here. Okay, so I come from University of Massachusetts, and our research department. So I'm a theoretical physicist by training, a condensed matter physicist, maybe like Christina, working in a similar field. But my department is a very different type of department. Okay, so our department is polymer science. And engineering. Okay, and we have a PhD degree program in polymer science and engineering that really takes students kind of with interests and backgrounds from all over the physical and natural sciences. Okay, and so we have students who are interested in developing materials for technology, interested in learning about polymeric materials for biological applications and medical applications. And you'll find it's kind of a very diverse program where students who come in from all different backgrounds, from physics, material science, organic chemistry, okay, they're trained in a very interdisciplinary way. So almost nobody at an undergraduate level in the US or anywhere is prepared to go through this graduate curriculum, because everyone has to learn how to make to do some synthesis, some chemistry, some engineering, and some physics. Okay, so there's something for everyone to be afraid of, right? But everyone survives, right? And we always say, I was not trained in chemistry, of course, or even engineering. We always say that our students come out, they're much better than we are, right? They learn how to think about problems in materials and technology in a way that I can't even understand. We're always interested in students from everywhere. We've had in the last 2 or 3 years a student, I think every year, recently from Nigeria. We've somehow had a very good connection. And I would certainly encourage all of you to visit our website. Take a look around at that. And if you find me, you probably find my picture somehow on the website, so you can send me an email if you have any questions. Certainly in addition to thinking about a program, interdisciplinary program like polymer science and engineering at Umass, which is a very weird program, but our students have been very successful both in academics, as well as maybe 70 or 80% of our students go on to work in industry with a PhD. Okay, so it's a much more applied program, and they're very happy to earn very nice salaries and those sorts of things. I could certainly tell you more about other programs, like programs in computer science at Umass, which is a very highly rated program as well, which in both master's and PhD level, as well as the physics department, which has both interests in biological and solid materials physics. Okay, so I won't take too much more of your time, and I'd like to surrender the floor a little bit more, but if there are any questions, either now, any questions about UMass, polymers, science, engineering? Yes? So nanotechnology is one kind of critical area of application for polymer science. So people designing materials for advanced functions, for biomedical applications, energy applications is a very big area. So 18 faculty and probably 7 or 8 of them are working in nanotechnology. And if you have any other questions, please find me. So my name is Craig.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Your year also runs strictly from August?
Yeah, so our schedule is the same time. It runs from the end of August. So we have sort of a similar timing issue, although I should say, unlike many of the academic departments and sciences, our students don't TA. They're all supported on research fellowships once they're accepted into the program. Although there are still similar conditions in terms of the English language requirements, but certainly please be in touch if you have any questions, possibilities in that. Yeah.
Okay, so I study nanotechnology in Lisbon.
Yes.
I'm doing my master's.
Yes.
I've done my first year. But I would say that I was interested in doing my master's thesis in the US, like for example at Howard if you have programs, am I able to just go back for a few months to do my thesis?
So I think in your particular, so our program in polymer science doesn't have a particular terminal map. It doesn't have a particular master's sort of sequence. But if there were interest and you found, say, a faculty member who might be willing to host you along those lines, certainly be in touch. We have plenty of students who come to visit our labs and work in groups.
So would
In principle, yes, possible. Yeah. There's no formal program. I think again, it just kind of echo Christina's contact. Certainly, the personal connections here. Never hurts to send an email. The answer would be don't say no by not sending the email. Let somebody else say no. People will say no, but you shouldn't say no. Anything else?
Okay. Maybe you can ask Alina to tell us about the opportunities in
Yeah, we just tried for URLs.
Okay, so my name is Helena Rubinstein-Dunlop. I'm Professor of Physics at the University of Queensland, and I come from School of Mathematics and Physics. And my area of expertise is quantum science and biophysics and biophotonics, and a little bit of nanotechnology. I run 2 big groups, research groups, and very recently I was the head of School of Mathematics and Physics. Now, there are a few little differences between American system and Australian system, but first of all, I would like to say one thing. As you have heard from all the people who have been talking here, physics is very international. So I did my degree in Sweden, both undergrad and postgrad. I'm working in Australia. In my department, as well as in Christina's, there are people from all over the world. And they're very welcoming and they very understanding. But the best thing is that we all can do physics together. So that's something to remember when you try to apply for the school. Cultural differences will be there, but that's something to live with and get used to and explore, I think. So that's a good part of it. Now, the differences between getting to graduate school in Australia versus America is, one is, like in Greg's institution, once you get the fellowship, you are not required to teach. That doesn't mean that you don't have to pass the exam in English. So in order to get into graduate school, you actually have to pass exam in English at a certain level. Otherwise, there's no goal. And unfortunately, although we can vouch for students knowing the English because we talk to them and we want to talk to every candidate who is applying for PhD program or master's program, if you don't have results from the exam, you cannot start the program. nobody will beg. But once you have that exam in hand, it is also very important, as Christina pointed out, to have contacts with faculty members. And okay, again, you can talk to me, but I'm not the only one whose research you might be interested in. So visit our websites and look at the people who do research there. And then if you send them an email, exactly as Greg said, they can only say no, you are not saying no. And then the majority of people, vast majority of the researchers will be very interested in having you as students. And they will discuss with you projects, they will talk to you on Skype or other means, and sometimes even invite you to come and visit before you apply for the PhD program. Now, when you apply for PhD program in Australia, it is very important that you have a background which enables you to study as a PhD student, which in physics, for example, means that you have to have at least 4 years of physics. So otherwise, it's very difficult to start a PhD program. Now, you can have 3 years in masters, or you can have masters, and then that would enable you to start a PhD program in Australia. Otherwise, it's very difficult. And of course, it goes for other areas, like you are from financial mathematics, and if you are interested, there is a very good program at our school, which is towards financial mathematics, both master's program as well as PhD program. And then your question, which if you were to ask me the same question as you asked Greg, I would say we are very, very welcoming of students who want to do master's thesis with us. That doesn't mean that we have stipends to pay. But people individual staff members might have some financial possibilities of helping with that. But as far as doing the project with us is concerned, we are very open to get students from all over the world to come and do projects which can be 6 months, 1 year, or whatever it can be. So I will encourage you all to talk to us, and as Christina said, through contacts with people whom you have met here on Stellenbosch or wherever you're meeting them, it's of course easier. But don't get too scared by contacting somebody you haven't met, and write them an email and tell them what your interests are, and start the discussion going, and then that would lead to very good contact and very good projects. Okay, and I'll write my name down, and you can contact me as well. Difficult to pronounce, but it's not that strange. Okay, any questions to me? And the stipends, I should have mentioned that if you get a scholarship from our university, it's for up to 3.5 years, and it's very comfortable living. You will have no troubles having a good time. And on top of that, you can teach a little bit. And on top of that, in some areas, there are top-ups for PhD stipends as well from different groups.
Sir?
Yeah.
Ezekiel is my name from the University of Pretoria. I'm from Nigeria. I'm doing my PhD. My question is that none of the speakers already mentioned anything about the proposal. I can still remember after my master's degree in Nigeria, then the experience I had then is that you have to write a proposal before you can contact any professor outside the country, which I did then. None of the speakers already mentioned anything about the proposal. Is it not necessary again or not?
No. So what we generally do is if you contact me that you want to do a project with me, a PhD project, we start a discussion about what you are interested in. And then you choose from the website or from talking to me or from looking at my papers or whatever, what is most interesting for you. Then I will tell you, I also will tell you what sort of projects I got about. And then we together write a proposal. So it's not that you have to present us with ready-made proposal and we go with it further, but we work out a proposal. So it's not a very onerous thing to be doing. It just will help you to concentrate on what it is you are interested in, and then it's my problem to find a project together with others. Any other questions down under Australia? Thank you.
Thank you. I think the time is up. I'm going to ask Christian to come and close the discussion.
Thank you very much, John, for hosting us for this debate. I have one question. If I want to become a tutor at Ames, what do I do to make it worthwhile?
It has been a really rewarding year.
Yes.
I mean, suggest everybody do it. So get in contact with Barry or Jeff.
Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, you have a rewarding year, and if you want to become a tutor at Ames, the bus is about to leave.